Now let's move forward, and in this video we will talk about handling events. Like we have been doing update on or press, and then we have been writing a function into a controller. Now this controller is also known as client-side controller, and it helps us to handle the event from the user, the UI event. Okay, so let's start and do some example live here and see how in the various ways we can handle the events. So for that, for my support or for a usage, I will simply create an attribute which will help me later in the program. Attribute name equals to text, an arbitrary attribute just to display some text or something. Type equals to string, and default value could be just like that. Okay, now we have created an attribute. Type equals to string. With this we have seen earlier several times in our previous videos. Now what we will do, we will create a button, and this time instead of using the UI component, let's use simple HTML. And how do we do that? Input type equals to button, value will be label, and I am wrong, anything you can give it. And now what we want to do, on click of this button, we want to alert or show a pop-up. And how do we show that? Alert, and what we need to show here, I will not work. Yes, this will not work. So we are telling it in advance that I will not work, but the pop-up will also not be there. So if I go ahead and click on my application and click on preview, nothing is happening when I click on this button. Okay, nothing will happen. Now again, let's go back to our wrapper component, and let's say I do the same thing, but this time I call a JavaScript function. I will again copy paste this. Type equals to button, value will be something. In this, what we are doing, we are using HTML and also JavaScript here. So let's say I am a composite button. Okay, perfect. And on click, what we will do this time, we will call a function which will be defined in our controller instead of inserting the function then and there. So how do we do that? We have seen this in the past. C dot, let's say I name it handle click. Okay, so on click it should be called, and we are telling it to handle the click. Save here. This function button is defined, value equals to this. On click, I am calling a method function which will be defined into our controller. Okay, now what I can do, I can even do this with my standard UI component, and that is UI colon button. Okay, and from value it will be label, and I am, let's say, name it standard, and instead of on click it is press. Okay, so this is by using plain HTML and mixture of JavaScript here, calling this function, and here it is the standard component here. So we will need to define these into our controller. Let's give it some line breaks. And let's preview our application once. Okay, so everything is there, but the function has not been defined. Okay, and if you want, you can even show the text of your attribute here. V dot name text, so it will show the default value. And now again, if I refresh my application here, just like that is here. Okay, so in the next video what we will do, we will define this button functions, and we will also see how do we need to differentiate that, whether it's called from here or it's called from here, or whether it will work same no matter it's called from here or here. So these things we will see in our next video.